Hello and welcome to Zerocarbonista Series 7. Don't panic. I'm Ian Collins and this is your number one go-to environment-based podcast. If it's green, it's in. I think actually, Dale, we should start with a little bit of football, really, because this is, I know nobody likes to, count chickens and stuff, but I mean, that term strength to strength, the savage effect, whatever you want to call it. But things are flying up there at the top of the table.
Oh, yeah, they are. First, I just want to say you said Series 7, and I'm like, what? We've done 7 years of this?
7 years. I know.
That's commitment.
It is, isn't it? Almost every week for 7 years.
7 years without a holiday.
It's the longest relationship I've ever had.
Your wife is obviously not a listener.
Exactly. Yeah, well, she is now. She has no choice. We just play it on loop throughout the house.
Excellent. Drives our numbers up, so who can complain?
Absolutely right.
Yeah, so we played Southend on Saturday at Forest Green. It was a great game. They went ahead, 70th minute, something like that. It's never good. But we pulled it back, won the game 2-1. Most exciting football. And Robbie went and gave some to the crowd because they were singing Savage, Savage, tell us the score through the game. Yeah. And then, of course, he went over at the end to tell them the score.
Brilliant. Good for him.
No, it all kicked off a bit. Their players got a bit like Aggie, and it all kicked off a bit. But it was a brilliant day. The days up at Forest Green are amazing. The crowd, everybody up there, everybody's having such a great time. It's truly a wonderful experience. Anybody that loves football or vegan food or just having a great time should really get up to Forest Green.
Yeah. And fundamentally, it's another win.
Oh, it's another win. Yeah, I think we were like 1 point off top or something like that. But mind you, saw 3 other teams or something like that. It's tight as hell at the top of that league. So it's going to be a really thrilling season. I think consistency always is the thing that wins your leagues. But
of course it is.
This year in this league, it's going to be uber consistency that's going to win the league for somebody. There's about 4 teams in the running and a point between us all.
Yeah, close as it gets.
I reckon.
We shall report back, of course, on each episode on this.
That's right.
There's never been more drama and excitement around Forest Green as there has this season.
It's never been as much fun. Yeah. The football and being in and around the ground with the people there. I mean, the atmosphere is just almost impossible to convey how much fun it is up there.
Sure.
And that's really amazing. I love that.
Good
and
work.
We have hundreds of kids coming up, local football clubs. They all get free tickets and stuff. And the place was packed on Saturday as well, nearly 3,000 people. So
nice.
It's all fun.
It's all good work. Yeah. Something else that's good work, in fact, crucial work, attending the Refugee Action event in London. You did that this week, Dale.
Yeah, I'd had a long-standing invite, for several weeks, and I had myself penciled in. And last minute, I was 10 minutes away and just managed to squeeze it in. Glad I did. It was in the Conduit Club in London, and there was probably, 40 people in the room, something like that. But it was really interesting to listen to them. There's a lot of refugees there, actually, and people that lobby campaign for refugees. But the most ironic, surprising, stupid thing that I learned is that if you come here claiming asylum, if you're a refugee, we don't let you work.
That's right. You can't work until...
But we give you benefits. And then we point the finger, or we enable other people to point the finger and say, look at those refugees. They're living in hotels and they're living on benefits. We're like, they would work if they could work. And it's a crazy situation. The government, I think Blair made that decision a very long time ago. But the government argues that if you're allowed to come here and work, that's a pull factor. It really encourage people to, leave their countries where their lives are in danger. They're going to leave anyway, but they'll come here because they can work. But you know what? It seems to me bollocks. But if it was a pull factor at all, you'd think a bigger pull factor would be somebody saying, if you go to Britain, they won't let you work, but they'll give you money and stick you in a hotel.
Right? Well, yeah.
Which one are you going to go for?
The pull factor is already there. And of course, there are countries around the world that do allow refugees to work. So it's not as if this is a kind of entirely new idea that no one's tried and tested, because it does work elsewhere.
I was hearing about that. There are lots of countries in Europe where they either let them work straight away, or it's 2 months or 3 months or something like that. And there's a lot of lobbying going on over here to make it 6 months. If you've been here 6 months, you're allowed to work. Government are doing a lot of work actually to bring down the processing time for asylum seekers to 6 months, and they've made a lot of headway on that, which kind of starts to solve the problem, really. If you get your application processed quicker, then you're not in limbo. I mean, some of these people have been in limbo for a year or two.
More than that in some cases.
Is it? It's just hideous.
Yeah, it's pretty grim. There's no one, whether you're, I always make this point on radio shows, where it doesn't matter whether you're left wing or right wing, everybody can agree that situation is unacceptable.
Yeah.
And it's not the best model.
And it creates this right-wing talking point and inflammation point, where people go, oh, look at those people, I'm struggling in my life and they're in hotels on benefits and that kind of stuff. I mean, we almost couldn't do it worse in terms of dealing with
it. 100%. 100%. Let's move to an Ecotalk update, Dale, because Ecotalk, of course, for the uninitiated, just explain Ecotalk and explain what the kind of, the latest development is.
Yeah, so Ecotalk is really exciting at the moment. It's a mobile phone service, SIM only, and all of the money we make is dedicated to nature, buying land and giving it back to nature. We've been going for a few years, but we had a relaunch in July this year with Chris Packham as the face of it, our head ecologist and kind of face of Ecotalk. And we've been sponsoring Zach Polanski's podcast, which has been fun. He's joined us as a customer, and we just doubled our customer numbers in 6 months, and we're going to double them again by the end of the year. And we've got beavers coming in January, which I've been nagging the team for 2 years to get beavers on. We've got a big site in Sussex, East Sussex.
Hang on a sec. Hang on. You can't just throw in a beaver without any corroborating story to this. You got beavers coming? What, to your office there? Are they going to be on the podcast? What's happening?
That'd be cool. No, you can't just chuck them in. That's why it's taken so long. We've had to build this containment area for beavers, get a license and that kind of stuff. I think it's like £100,000 fence to give you a sense of the seriousness of it, and create this great habitat for them. And finally, we should be able to get a couple of beavers in there in January. We've got 400 acres in East Sussex. We bought some woods in the middle and added some fields around the outside, and we just bought another area a couple of 100 yards away. We're hoping to join it up, and we just keep trying to grow this space. But it's all fueled by people's mobile phone bills, and that's the beauty of it.
Wow,
it's a very exciting thing that we're doing.
Love it.
We've got eSIMs coming in January as well, which I love, because we're very light touch. The only piece of hardware we've got is a SIM, right? Come January, we won't even have that.
So the eSIM is in.
Yeah.
Beavers and eSIMs, two big things to look out for.
Yeah, Pine Martin's coming next. Big fan of them.
Love them.
Anyway, that's enough of that. But we missed out Gaza Cola.
Gaza Cola, yeah, because this came up last week, didn't it? Somebody talked about, there was a suggestion of Coca-Cola being sold. Their if you like, their extraordinary use of plastics, which was not an unreasonable point. But then there's Gaza Cola.
And water. They're big users of water, and I think that they're doing some harm in Palestinian territory out there, which is one particular reason why they're being boycotted. But it all began for me a few weeks ago when I went to that what they call Ethical Consumer Conference in London, and I learned of Gaza Cola. So we reached out. The guys came down yesterday. Actually, the team from Gaza Cola, lovely people. Excuse me. That's what the cola made me do. It's really quite nice. Yeah, they brought samples. It's really quite nice. Our aim is to get it into Forest Green on a match day. And we've got a canteen here in Ecotricity HQ as well. And we're going to stick it in the fridge in that as well. And just do what we can to support them, by buying their cola. All of the proceeds from this enterprise go into Palestine. And they tell me some amazing stories and showed me a picture of this one in particular. There's no mobile phone network there, but they're able to access the Israeli ones. I guess they have like burner SIMs. And what they do is they stick a mobile phone in a bucket and they pull it up a telegraph pole, and it's hotspot. And people gather underneath it to beam their pictures and stories out of the territory. And recently, I mean, at the height of the abuse that's going on over there, the Israelis said, look, these people aren't that badly off. They've got Wi-Fi. They're sending all of these stories out to the rest of the world. Well, it was a mobile phone in a bucket piggybacking on an Israeli network. That's how they're doing it.
Yeah.
They're so inventive and adaptive to the circumstances. It's very impressive.
Here's a question. This comes from Eco Nick, who says, let's have more recycling. Have you heard of Ecovend?
I have. And I reckon, Ian, I'm going to tell a story here, and I reckon you'll have had the same experience. When I was a boy, we used to go around places outside shops in holiday.
I know where you're going already.
You do. Picking up old bottles, taking them back for the deposit, right?
Yeah.
And if you go to festivals now, there are like deposit return schemes on beer cups and stuff like that. And you see kids going around with like shopping trolleys full of these things at the end of the gig, making some money. That's so, yeah, brilliant. I've heard of it. And I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. What a result that was as a kid when you found like a 10p return on a bottle. Thought, this is amazing. You got a couple of those, your day was made.
Yeah. But then there was always the thin line, right? If you found like a crate of them outside somebody's doorstep, has that been discarded? Can I grab those?
No, or discarded.
Yeah, that's the way I saw it too.
That's yeah. I think we were probably wrong, but at the time, through the prism of an 8-year-old's head, that was discarded bottles. Here's an interesting story, Dale. Water shortages could derail the UK's net zero plans, according to a study. Somebody said to me years ago that all the issues around the world will ultimately end up with a water problem.
There's no doubt one of the biggest issues coming out of the climate crisis is going to be a shortage of drinking water. It's already happening in some parts of the world. The western side of America has chronic drought already. We're having a drought here in the summer, apparently. Partly that's due to our water system privatization. They've not built any reservoirs forever, and all this kind of stuff. But this seems to be a really unseen facet of the problem, that actual things designed to help us avoid the climate crisis are going to drive the water crisis that's coming out of it. And these things in particular are the making of hydrogen and carbon capture and storage. They're both really big consumers of water. So, for example, BP just pulled out of a project in Teesside this week that's due to make blue hydrogen, which is where, I don't know why they call it blue. It makes it sound nicer than grey or black, probably. But they take fossil fuels and they strip the hydrogen out of the chemical formula, and they leave CO2 behind, which they capture and store. They're going to make 160,000 tons of hydrogen a year, apparently. But that's going to cost 5 billion litres of water. 5 billion litres.
5 billion?
Yeah, which is 5 million tons of water. That's what it's going to take to make 160,000 tons of hydrogen.
That's insane.
It's staggering, isn't it? And so somebody's put out a report saying, guys, like, we have a water shortage already, and these projects you're planning, carbon capture and hydrogen, they're going to consume vast amounts of water. Where's it going to come from? There are different ways to make hydrogen, and if you do it, what I would think of as the greenest way, split water to get hydrogen and release oxygen. You use 1/10 of the amount of water for the same amount of hydrogen. So we can split gas and gobble enormous sums of water and need to lock up the carbon in a safe place, or we can just split water for a tenth of the cost in water terms, which sounds bizarre, but it's true.
The 5 million tons of water, Dale. I mean, these are just jaw-dropping numbers.
I mean, they sound like made-up numbers, don't they? I mean, they're just they're unbelievable, vast sums. I can't imagine the volume of 5 million tons of water or 5 billion
what does that
liters
even
of
look
water.
like?
All right, it's 5 billion water bottles, right?
Yeah.
5 billion water bottles.
I mean billion, not million.
That's right.
That's insane.
These people, these oil companies, there's no cost they won't pay to make a buck and do their thing with fossil fuels, because this is finding a future for fossil fuels in the new world, the green economy. Like, hey guys, we can make your hydrogen. We'll just split some gas.
That's all you have to do. As my old nan would have said, Dale, they don't give a shit.
I think she's right, or would have been.
Here's a question from Narisha, who says, Dale, where can I get a Forest Green Rovers Christmas jumper from?
Well, I'm going to say...
the Christmas merch out there.
I'm going to say hopefully nowhere. Because I hate Christmas, as you know. And if my people behind my back have made a Christmas jumper, I'm going to be a little bit cross.
I reckon there might be one out there.
There might be. There might be.
I'm gonna search that up as soon as we finish doing this and
Get
purchase.
yourself one and wear it next week.
Yeah, if there's one there, I'm on it.
That'll be rage bait, but we aren't covering that story.
No, we're not covering that story. We are covering this story though. The bonkers world of the hard left hits the headlines, and this is something we've talked about a lot because it's where the kind of left divides, and there's the sort of the sane route or the completely insane route. And what seems to be happening with the sort of new Corbyn party is just sort of descending into a kind of a pit of absolute nonsense and doom and gibberish. What's going on?
It's like a sitcom or some kind of crazy satire that if somebody wrote it, you'd go, yeah, that's funny, but a bit extreme.
Yeah,
I mean, they've got history, obviously, recent history, setting up the party, not being sure what to call it, but calling it your party. And then the two kind of main founders, Jeremy and Sultana, I mean, they've been falling out for months. She set up a website to take donations and registrations and raised about £1 million. And Jeremy and the rest of the guys, and I think it was guys, were like, hey, you can't do that. That's not official. Then they exchanged legal threats. She stopped it. They've asked for the money. She's not giving the money. And then they say, well, we'll have a conference and we'll decide our name. And they invited loads of people and rejected loads of other people that weren't allowed to come. Sultana boycotts the first day. She sat in a cafe a mile away somewhere. She won't go. This is the first conference of this new party to decide its name and its constitution and all that kind of stuff. And one of the co-founders says, F that. I don't like the way you behave. Yeah. And then the second day, I think she turned up. She gave a speech and they said, like, we're friends now, and you got to think, well, for how long? Another 5 minutes or something? And then there's a big poll about what to call it, your party, our party, for the many, I think was another suggestion.
Yeah.
And the delegates decided it should be your party. So all this fuss, all this faff and bother, and it's still going to be called your party, which I think is a terribly difficult thing to say in a sentence. If you say... It doesn't
really, it's got too many other points of reference and meaning and connotation.
Yeah. You say, are you a member of your party? You're like, well, have I got a party? Have I?
Yeah.
I know, it's complicated. And then they made a decision about the leader and the press, and bless them. This is you can see this story in two different ways. The press say the membership rejected Jeremy Corbyn as leader. Yeah. That's one way to spin it. What actually was decided, I think the other way to spin it, is they decided they wanted a committee to lead the party. So they didn't really reject Jeremy. They didn't. They just said, actually, we want to do this. But honestly, a committee to lead that party, I mean, the show is going to go on. It's going to keep giving. This is
kind of sort of Animal Farm-esque kind of thing going on here.
It's just mad.
Who's the leader? What do they really want?
It's a shame in many ways, but I mean, it could have paved the way. It could have been significant in paving the way for a Farage victory. Had it been coherent and sensible and all of that kind of stuff, it could have attracted a lot of votes at the next election. I don't think that'll happen now. I think they've shot their credibility, and I think they're just going to keep fighting like ferrets in a sack and be a sideshow, which is probably a good thing overall.
Let's move to this then. Talking to political parties, the Tories have got more jip going on because it seems so many, and there's another 3 this week who legged it from the Tory party to Reform UK.
Yeah, we had a laugh about that last night. We're playing a little cartoon. In my mind's eye, there's a sinking ship. There's 3 rats with life vests and blue ties and brown shoes jumping overboard, and they're swimming to the Reform raft where Farage is sat there with his pirate patch and his chest of Russian gold or something.
Hoovering them up.
Yeah, maybe that cartoon will happen. But somebody said to me yesterday they're hearing persistent rumors that Boris Johnson is going to make a comeback. I think we've all been hearing this on and off since he left. Yeah. But I thought to myself, I laughed it off to begin with, and then later I thought to myself, do you know what? Without that, the Tories are absolutely doomed. Kemi Badenoch is the most rubbish leader they've had since the last really rubbish leader. Johnson has charisma. He's got the ability to shrug off the findings of the COVID inquiry, a bit like Trump shrugs everything off, rape, tax fraud, you name it. He just shrugs it off. Johnson has that ability. I wouldn't rule out him coming back to try and lead the Tory party into the next election. And that also would be a good thing, I think, for us. If we want to see a Labour victory, which I do, they're not perfect, I have to say that, but I still think they're the best choice we have. Then I think a stronger Tory party is going to be a good thing. And I was going to say, and the situation with Jeremy Corbyn's Your Party is also a good thing, and it could really help.
Yeah, I think that Boris Johnson back would be. I think Labour would quite enjoy that, actually.
Yeah,
because the amount of ammo that you've got on Johnson is almost never ending.
But I think you're right. But I see no hope for them other than having somebody with that kind of character at the helm, because it can be bad enough. Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it ain't good over there. Let's look at the Labour front bench. Rachel Reeves knocking £1 billion off energy bills.
Oh, yeah.
But apparently there is a little caveat to that, because Sizewell apparently adds it back on again. So what's the deal here? She got rid of green levies or something? Or
you just covered the whole story in your announcement, but I'll try and do it. I'll try and
do it better.
So this is a story that mainstream media are not reporting. The big ta-da of the budget on energy bills is to take away a thing called eco. It's a levy. It's not a green levy. It's actually, it's energy efficiency. It's to support energy efficiency, and certainly that is a green thing, but it's not for green energy. It's mislabeled. Anyway, it's £1 billion saved. It's going to be worth 2 quid a month, 24 quid a year, or something like that of people's bills. I mean, it's decent. It's not show-stopping, end of the world type stuff, but £1 billion is a big number, so it's going to knock money off business bills and house bills.
So that's the good news.
Yeah, that's the good news. It's announced in the same month, November, when costs for Sizewell C hit our energy bills. So this is a new wheeze from the government. It's called the RAB, the Regulated Asset Base wheeze, whereby they fund the building of nuclear power stations by adding a levy to energy bills while it's being built. So it's not a subsidy for the energy, because there is no energy. It's just being built. Anyway, long story short, it's adding £1 billion a year to our energy bill. So we knocked £1 billion off through not doing energy efficiency, and we've added £1 billion through starting work on Sizewell C. It's going to take 10 or 15 years to build before it makes its really expensive electricity. How expensive? We can see that by looking at Hinkley over on the other coast. It's 17 years late. It's due to come on the grid in 2030 now, just a few years from now, really, 4 years. When it does, it'll add another £1 billion to our energy bills through the cost of subsidizing that electricity. Sizewell will do the same when it comes on the grid. Yeah. So we're
impressive numbers, right?
It's just mad, isn't it? I mean, taking green and social levies out of our energy bills, really important, proper thing to do. There's about 150 quid, maybe a little bit more in everybody's annual bill for these things. That's stealth taxes. They should come out. But we've taken one out and lobbed another one in, the same size for nuclear, and there's more coming for nuclear. So it's a bit exasperating.
And it's a bit upside down, frankly.
It is a bit up, isn't it?
Is this upside down? What about this one? It's a final story. We've got another question to come as well. Wood-burning stoves could face a partial ban. What's the deal with the wood-burning stove? Because, people associate... It's interesting, isn't it? People associate the wood-burning stove as something that's very natural and environmentally friendly. You live in a nice cabin in the forest. You chop some wood. You're doing all the outdoor stuff. You're not hurting anybody. You're living on berries. You've got a nice little fire going. But the story behind the wood-burning stove is a little more sinister.
Well, a lot of people are doing it, and they're not doing it in forests, in log cabins. They're doing it in towns and cities and stuff like that. Well, cities is a bit harder. There are more controls in cities, clean air controls. But basically, the combined emissions from all of the wood fire or wood stoves in Britain are now bigger than these PM 2.5s in particular that come from diesel engines, also come from burning wood. Yeah. And the biggest source of them now is wood burning, not cars, which I think is a bit of a shock. But of course, we're overlooking Drax, the biggest wood burning stove in the world, which burns a tree every second or something, according to Reform. And I'm tending to believe them on this one. I mean, we give them nearly £1 billion a year to bring Canadian trees over here from ancient forests, 250-year-old forests. They bring them over here, they land on our shore, and they're declared carbon neutral because the Canadians have kept all the carbon footprint. Nice deal. And then they burn them and say, hey, it's green energy. Take £1 billion in subsidies from the government and make about £1 billion in profit. Begging the question, do they really need the subsidy, or at least that much? But anyway, it's the most massive wood-burning stove in Britain. So it's quite funny that the government are going to clamp down on not everybody's, but people's little home wood-burning stoves while feeding massive amounts of money to this monster wood-burning thing called Drax.
Yeah. Didn't George Monbiot used to have one?
A Drax.
He's probably got the hair gel.
I think he did, actually. He did. Yeah, he did. It's a colourful story, but yes, he did.
Maybe I'm sure he's got rid of it now in favour.
I think he might have done. Yeah, I mean, if he's got any sense, he would have done. But anyway, enough about George Monbiot already.
Enough about George already. Let's move to a final question then, Dale. Darren says, greetings, Dale. Just saw your show. This might be of interest to you, bracket or not. As with food descriptions, did you know that the word burger comes from hamburger, which itself originates from Hamburg, Germany, not ham? So claims that meat relates to burger are only by association, not by origin.
Yes, I did. But thank you. And it's a good point. Well made. Absolutely. Because burgers don't have ham in them. You're quite right. They are from Hamburg. I mean, it makes me laugh because it shows just how desperate and stupid the meat industry are to try and claim the provenance of these words.
It's a bit bonkers, right?
It is, isn't it?
Milk and burgers are off the agenda.
Yeah. What are we going to say? I've been having some great chats this week about our grass food, making human edible from food. I think that's related, so I'm just going to lob it in there. We are making progress. We might only be a few more weeks away from FSA approval to consume it with informed consent, where you sign your life away. You say, I know what I'm doing, Gov. I'm going to eat this stuff, and I'll take the consequences. But that will enable us to start to play with textures and tastes when we put it into our burgers, which aren't made of ham and don't come from Hamburg, and they don't have meat in them either. They'll be grass-fed burgers, in fact.
Yeah.
And that's all going to start early in the new year.
Good work. And on that point, Dale, we hit the clock, but we are back in 7 days.
Always. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't. You can't wait. I can't wait. But between the two of us, we can't wait.
It comes around so quick.
It does. You can, of course, follow Dale on social media, on TikTok, on Twitter or X, and on Facebook, of course.
Yeah, see me at football.
And Forest Green
See me
Rovers.
at football. Come on.